The hidden dangers of chronic dehydration on the central nervous system. How ignoring hydration is quietly sabotaging our brain, and why urgent action is needed. Headache, brain fog, anxiety, poor sleep, irritability, low concentration, memory lapses, emotional instability, and a general sense of mental exhaustion have become increasingly common in modern life. Most people attribute these symptoms to stress, aging, workload, or mental health problems, and often accept them as unavoidable. But a far more fundamental and rarely asked question remains. Is the brain being forced to function in a chronically dehydrated internal environment? The human brain and central nervous system are among the most water-dependent systems in the body. The brain is composed of nearly 75% water, and every aspect of its function, electrical signaling, neurotransmitter balance, cerebral blood flow, waste clearance, autonomic regulation, and emotional stability, depends on adequate hydration and proper electrolyte balance. Yet chronic dehydration has quietly become the norm in modern society. As we age, thirst sensation diminishes. Many people consciously restrict water intake to avoid frequent urination. Salt is unnecessarily feared and avoided. Physical movement decreases. At the same time, mental stimulation, screen exposure, caffeine use, and psychological stress steadily increase. Together, these factors create a state in which the brain is constantly required to perform under subtle but persistent physiological stress. Chronic dehydration does not usually produce dramatic or sudden symptoms. Instead, it works silently. It gradually alters nervous system regulation, increases stress hormone activity, impairs parasympathetic tone, disrupts sleep-wake rhythms, reduces mental clarity, and lowers emotional resilience. Because these changes develop slowly and present as non-specific symptoms, they are often overlooked, normalized, or treated symptom by symptom without addressing the underlying cause. As a result, many individuals are labeled as anxious, depressed, insomniac, or cognitively declining, when in reality, the central nervous system is struggling to function in an unfavorable internal environment. This talk explores how chronic dehydration adversely affects the central nervous system, why its impact is so often ignored, and how this ongoing neglect may be quietly sabotaging brain health in millions of people. More importantly, it explains why early recognition and timely corrective action are essential, not as an alternative to medical care, but as a foundational step in protecting brain function, emotional balance, cognitive clarity, and long-term neurological health. CNS physiology and hydration. Why the brain cannot function normally without adequate water and electrolytes. To understand why chronic dehydration affects the brain so deeply, we must first understand how the central nervous system actually functions. The brain is not a static organ. It is a highly active electrochemical system operating continuously, even during sleep. Every thought, emotion, memory, movement, and autonomic response depends on precise electrical signaling, chemical balance, and uninterrupted blood flow. All of these processes are water-dependent. 1. The brain as an electrochemical organ. Neurons communicate through electrical impulses and chemical messengers. For this communication to occur, electrical gradients must be maintained. Ions such as sodium, potassium, calcium, and chloride must move accurately. Neurotransmitters must be synthesized, released, and recycled. Water is the medium in which all of this occurs. When hydration is inadequate, electrical signaling becomes less efficient. Nerve transmission slows. Signal clarity decreases. This does not cause immediate disease, but it reduces performance and resilience. 2. Role of water in neuronal function. Each neuron is surrounded by a fluid environment that maintains membrane potential, allows ion exchange, protects against excitotoxicity. Chronic dehydration disrupts this environment, leading to increased neuronal irritability, reduced firing efficiency, greater susceptibility to stress and fatigue. This is why dehydration often presents as irritability, restlessness, poor concentration, sensory sensitivity. 3. Cerebral blood flow and hydration. The brain depends on constant, well-regulated blood flow. Adequate hydration ensures proper plasma volume, optimal blood viscosity, smooth microcirculation. Chronic dehydration leads to reduced plasma volume, thicker blood, reduced cerebral perfusion. Even mild reductions in brain blood flow can cause brain fog, head pressure, fatigue, lightheadedness. The brain is extremely sensitive to these microcirculatory changes. 4. Cerebrospinal fluid, CSF dynamics. Cerebrospinal fluid cushions the brain, removes metabolic waste, supports nutrient delivery. Hydration plays a key role in maintaining CSF production, CSF circulation. In dehydration, CSF dynamics slow. Waste clearance becomes inefficient. Pressure sensations and headaches may occur. This contributes to the common complaint, "My head feels heavy or tight, but scans are normal." 5. The lymphatic system and nighttime brain detox. The brain clears waste primarily during deep sleep via the glymphatic system. This system depends on adequate hydration, requires good circulation, functions best when parasympathetic tone is high. Chronic dehydration impairs waste clearance, contributes to unrefreshing sleep, leads to morning brain fog. This explains why many people wake up tired despite sleeping enough. 6. Hydration and autonomic nervous system balance. The CNS regulates two key systems: sympathetic, fight or flight; parasympathetic, rest and repair. Adequate hydration supports parasympathetic tone, stabilizes heart rate variability, calms stress signaling. Chronic dehydration activates stress hormones, increases sympathetic dominance, reduces vagal tone. This creates a state where the brain is constantly alert but poorly rested. 7. Electrolytes, the missing half of hydration. Hydration is not just about water. Electrolytes, especially sodium, are essential for action potential generation, neurotransmitter release, neural signal accuracy. Excessive salt restriction can worsen brain fog, dizziness, anxiety, fatigue. Appropriate electrolyte balance allows water to enter cells, support neural function, stabilize CNS activity. The brain runs on water plus electrolytes, not water alone. 8. Why the CNS suffers before other organs. Unlike muscles or the liver, the CNS cannot tolerate large fluctuations, cannot rest from its activity, cannot store reserves easily. Therefore, CNS symptoms appear early, long before laboratory abnormalities, long before structural disease. This makes hydration-related CNS dysfunction easy to miss, but easy to correct when recognized early. Key takeaway of this section. The brain does not malfunction suddenly. It gradually loses efficiency when its fluid environment is compromised. Chronic dehydration creates a state of functional CNS stress, not immediate disease, but over time, this stress reduces clarity, resilience, and emotional balance. Holistic Wellness Foundation. Imphal. Healing beyond boundaries.